My name is Gaston J. Ouellet, and I perceive myself as an ambassador of virtues. Aloha and mahalo for taking your time to listen to this presentation entitled VirtHU, the card game that changes lives. So where does this card game come from? Well, let's start from the beginning. First, I spent my early years as a child being raised by nuns. Yet more importantly, if you read my book, Listening, Contemplating, Loving, you'll soon discover that I had a multitude of mentors and guides in my life, which has taught me about the sacred art of listening. Now, listening to what, you may be asking yourself? The only voice worthy of our attention from my point of view is our inner voice, our intuition, if you will, or better known in many circles as the Holy Spirit. I've spent the last 4 decades contemplating or praying every day for 30 minutes twice per day, once upon starting my day and before going to sleep. You may be asking, what are you doing in there? I am expressing my gratitude for all that I have received. And once I have expressed my gratitude, I listen to this inner voice, this inner force, which only wants my best interest. What has this commitment allowed me to achieve? A daily communion with my inner garden, allowing me to develop a relationship with a higher power than myself. So for decades now, I follow its instruction to the letter, and I discovered that this higher force has always given me guidance, which is always for the good of all, as well as for my own benefit at the same time. That's how divine force works. So here's how this card game came about. In 2006, during one of my evening contemplation, I received this card game we now call VirtHU. That same night, I wrote everything down, and the following morning, I began searching for a graphic artist to begin this project. It took a year and a half before I could go to print with it. Once I received the 300 card game, I was excited to bring this gift to the world. That same night, after receiving the cards, I contemplated like I always do. During that contemplation, I was clearly asked to refrain from bringing this gift at this time, and it would better serve the world once the economy would be devastated because people would value this gift. So was I upset with this instruction? Oh yes, that's putting it mildly. I had just invested thousands of dollars, hundreds of hours, and countless resources. I was angry and clearly beside myself. Yet, I had learned to trust this inner guidance completely. However, doubt can serve us very well if we dare to ask. So I did. I told my inner guides that if I see a rainbow tomorrow, then I would listen to these instructions, knowing very well that in the middle of November, there is no rainbow in the upper skies of Quebec. To me, I could finally bring forth this gift to the world as part of my mission. However, the following day, I heard this banging on my door as if something grave had just happened to the lady who lived below me. She was yelling through my door, "Come on, don't ask any question, come out." I replied, "Okay, I'll be out in a second." She yelled even louder this time, "Please come out now." This time I was very concerned because she had never knocked on my door before. So I opened the door and there she was, standing in her morning robe pointing at the sky. She said, "Look, Have you ever seen a more beautiful rainbow than this one before? I replied, Yes, I've lived on Maui for 20 years before. She replied with this attitude, I don't understand why you're not touched by this incredible miracle. That's what it is, you know. It's a miracle. Then she left. I stood there, knowing very well what this message was all about. Yes, I would follow my inner guides, as I always did. Then I began to study the world economy, how the central banks work, the history of money, all this so I can identify the instruction I was given. So in mid-September of 2019, the repo market crashed, and I knew then that it was just a matter of time before the world economy would fall. 5 months later, the COVID hit the world, and the world economy was decimated to say the least. So during the confinement, I began to revamp the VirtHU card game and got ready for its launch. In November of 2021, the card game VirtHU, a card game that changes lives, was given a mission to HulaHU make it happen. Previously, I was shown, and I know with all my heart, that this card game VirtHU has to offer to family and children all around the world. To know and to rediscover one's virtues, which resides in all of us, shall bring upliftment and everlasting changes into children's lives. Dare to rediscover your virtue and become who you have always dreamt of becoming. Yes, to love is to listen, and to listen is to love. Thank you.